Shifting course, right? I mean, I think we've spoken enough about CSR, but CSR is not the only component of a thriving impact ecosystem.
Absolutely.
What would be your thoughts on the state of the broader impact investment ecosystem in India today? What has gone right? What is yet to happen? Yeah.
Absolutely. So I personally believe that this is the best time to be in the social impact space in India. Okay. To be a non-profit, to be a social enterprise, I do not think it will get better. I mean, it will get better, but there was never a time before which was as good as this. The reason I say that are the following. Right? One, philanthropic investment in India has become a lot more strategic. You know, the whole conversation around venture philanthropy to lots of family offices coming in. I think the conversation of more strategic money, not just program money, but strategic money to make new things happen, build institutions, create innovations, research, all of that type of capital is coming into the philanthropy space. I think which is just brilliant. The second is there are, you know, CSR as a tool has brought in a lot of, partnerships with corporate that's possible. There's a great example, within our ecosystem where one of the Indian companies very successfully has now demonstrated, how the value that they're adding to the ecosystem in a region actually benefits their entire larger business. And it's also a great partnership with the local entrepreneurs, in the social space. So I think the resources from the corporate, was never this open and available so easily. Three, the quality of talent in the sector is taking a dramatic shift, right? I think there's now a lot more people wanting to work in the sector. Some of the fellowships that we all, talk about are, I think, getting more applications to acceptance ratios which are better than Harvard. I think today there are more people in their, I would say mid-careers moving to the social sector from really, good academic / experience backgrounds. So both from young to older, there's a lot more talent coming into the sector, which I think is fantastic. Again, it's not yet enough, but I think that's a very positive shift, in direction. Technology has become a lot more available in the sector. I think there's a lot more resources available from a technology perspective. So there are more tech partnerships, different companies kind of coming in. And in general, other knowledge resources tools, there was not so much of media on this. There were no conversations like this going on, so openly. So I think a lot more resources kind of coming into the ecosystem. I think this is probably the best time to take advantage as an entrepreneur, be it non-profit, for-profit, and kind of, move to the next level. I think the challenge though is to be able to kind of not get caught, in the whole conversation, but get to action. I think the sector is also extremely good in conversation and input, about what to do. How to do, and we can think about frameworks and pilots and methodologies, for a really, really long time. But I think getting into action and starting to think about scale, I think is very, very critical because the ecosystem is getting more positive. I think it's almost a responsibility of the entrepreneur ecosystem in this to step up and say we can do now more bigger things, right? So I would say it's a very positive, time to be in India. So, if you're doing anything else, I think good time to reflect and see whether this is the career you want to be in.
Since you spoke about moving from conversation to action, in terms of action, what are some of the bigger success stories in the for-profit investment space which will inspire more and more people to possibly say, we need more money from impact investors because we believe we can create the next game-changing impact solution?
I think there are some, really good stories, I would say, in the social impact space, both in the non-profit and the for-profit, and I'll probably balance it out with a couple of them. Clearly, I mean, we all know LaborNet, what Gayatri and her team have achieved in LaborNet is just phenomenal in terms of scale, in terms of sustainability, in terms of the diversity of things they've done in the livelihood, kind of space. So they're an inspiration, to a lot of the people, and just the mere scale of what they do, I think is just amazing, and the way they've engaged with different stakeholders, including the government, which is a great lesson for entrepreneurs in the impact space. I would also say that rural shows is a very interesting example because they've done very well in India and scaled quite a bit. But very surprisingly, I also, recently when I was in the Bay Area, I met Murthy, who is the founder, who's now trying to replicate it for disadvantaged youth in the Bay Area, which means there's reverse innovation happening. Innovation in India, from India going to the Bay Area from the perspective of social impact, which I think was very, very inspiring for me. And similarly, Saha's Hippocampus, and many such examples out there. Obviously, in the clean energy space, there again, Huspower and others have done some fantastic work as well. I think in the non-profit ecosystem, again, there's lots of examples from an Enable India to a Kaival Education Foundation to Pinamal Swasthya. All of these guys, again, have looked at very different models of scale and have gone to the next level completely. So I think from a action point of view, there is a lot more, I would say, action. It's a good time for us to kind of constantly kind of iterate and evolve because the ecosystem is moving. So the most important lesson for all of us is to not get fixed on a model or a tool. I think keeping the focus completely on impact and constantly learning, be it CSR, be it impact investing, be it whatever, and just evolve to get to that final goal, I think is important. So I think whoever is going to evolve fast will, I think, get there much faster than saying that, oh, this is one way of going.